Good morning everyone and welcome back. Every year we get one of these from our milk company. It's a dairy diary, and in here it is a little bit different this year. It's just red pages, so you have to fill these out to be compliant or to be able to send milk in your audit, on your annual audit. And usually what happens is that in this book as well they also do a bit of a diary, so you can write stuff down on what days, except this year they didn't do it in here. It's just the compliance stuff, which you can do all online on the app. And I do because it just makes our audit so much easier, because when they come and do it they can see all your stuff online instead of having to look through book records, which is good. And I think they are wanting to phase this book out, but there must have been a little bit of a kickback, or maybe not a kickback, but there must have been a few people that sort of said they actually really like the diary. Like me, I like using the diary. So a couple of days ago at discussion group I was able to pick one up. They've rushed it out for all us people that like using it, and it's actually quite handy without the compliance stuff in it. So that is cool. It's good to see they've done that. I quite like using them just for writing stuff down. Like, we actually bought our own diary this year because we didn't get one in there. And like cows that we're treating mastitis wise, and anything else like that, we like to write it down instead of doing it through the app, because then you can just walk in here, you can see it. If you've got wet hands, the pen still works. You don't have to flick through your phone and whatnot. So prefer the paper version for this stuff. They are probably wanting us to go more digital, but I don't always think it is best. Grabbing a little bit of fencing stuff. I need that, and I'll take that bucket, a hammer. Maybe that hammer. One or two insulators, I don't think I'll need them, but just to be safe. Staples, they can all just go in there. I think that's all I need. Actually, I need something to cut. That'll do. Nate's finished all the fencing off. He actually finished up yesterday morning. I am just sorting this gateway out here. I'm going to put a bungee across it, and then everything is pretty stock proof. But it looks absolutely phenomenal. Seriously impressed. Check it out though. It looks fantastic. They've done such a good job too. Might be a little bit hard to see on here. And the guys have actually been in and spot sprayed all these sidelings. They came and did it the other day. You can't really see, nothing started to die yet. There's a little bit of pink in amongst down there. And might be a little bit hard to see on here too. But what they're going to do is plant out all the sides around here. They're not actually going to plant down in this stuff. I don't think they're going to leave that because it's too matted up with grass and whatnot. Nothing's really going to grow very well. So by leaving it and having no stock pressure, hopefully these reeds are going to grow up and it's sort of going to sort itself out. The same with over there, and that one's looking pretty good over there as is. So they're just really planting the sidelings up the drain there, like that top round there. So give it a couple of years and it will be looking fantastic. I want it fairly tight. Those bolt cutters are useless. I had to shoot up and get some better wire cutters. Well, I think that looks alright. I usually use spring gates, but this distance between the posts would have been a little bit too far, I think, and it would have overstretched it. And I had this stuff on hand, so I might as well use what I got. But I'm going to take these bolts out. When I electrify this, I'm just going to run a bit of wire off that top wire there, which is hot. The top and bottom wire on these three wires are hot. And I'll just run it down through the insulator holding this plate on. Through the bottom one, and then you just bend it up and it's sweet, and then that electrifies the gate. I've also run another wire out. I just need to find a handle. I only had that one lying around, so I thought I'd grab that. There wasn't another one I could see, but I'll just grab one from town, whack it on, and then job done. But that'll tidy that up. One wasn't going to be quite enough. It's just, yeah, low points at the top and the bottom here. I'd say calves would walk through that, but that'll work. You kind of get a good viewpoint from the end here. See down there. Probably one thing I look back on in hindsight, and I definitely can't change it now, But what I probably should have done is push this post out, or the strainer just there at the bottom of the hill, out that way just a little bit, and cut that one back in a little bit closer and take a little bit more through there. It looks pretty wet at the moment, and it is, but during the summer it actually dries out and does grow grass. So that's probably one little thing, but in the scheme of things it's not that bad. But man, this paddock looks so good now that it's properly fenced. And there's an old fence along here too that they've tidied up. The posts there, those concrete posts, it was on there, so I've just pushed it back this way a little bit, tidied that up as well. Just need to come down and pull those posts out, which won't take much. Just got to find the time at the moment. I haven't actually seen this bit yet. They finished it yesterday and I haven't had a look, but it looks awesome. So what they've done is that strainer there was over there more. The fence sort of went there and then down the hill into that sort of swampy stuff. Like originally that wasn't as swampy as it is. It was more grassy. In the old photos it looks like it was farmable. But they've pulled it back, which has really tidied it up, put a little fence in between, and that's awesome. So now we can get stock through here if we want, or we can get the truck through, the fert truck through. Just really tidies this end up. And then one day I want to bring that fence over there because that's pretty shot. I want to bring it this way, so I'll run it straight off that strainer back to the gate, which is just straight through there. But that won't be for a while. But it's fine how it is now. It looks much better. It is pretty cool though. I see these little things around farm occasionally like this. It's an old strainer and stay, but this would have been hardwood. I'm not sure if it's Totra or Rimu, but it's probably one of them. It looks quite reddy wood, so it's probably Rimu, I think. Somebody might be able to tell me in the comments. And it's sort of rotted out at the top, but that would have been put in by my grandfather probably, goodness knows, maybe 80 to 100 years ago probably. It was an old sheep fence because I think the farm got converted to dairy in the 30s. So it's an old 4-wire sheep fence. It might have been 5 at some point. They might have ripped one out. But it's pretty cool to see old things like that. I know it's not really doing much now because there's a new strainer right next to it, but I don't know, it just makes you appreciate things a little bit. And all these concrete posts that are around, I'm pretty sure that they went to using them at some point. I don't know when. It would have been some point in time that they went to using them because the old wooden ones would have rotted out. So concrete doesn't rot, but concrete's real heavy. So now all these new posts are all tannalized. They don't rot in the ground, but you can see that these old hardwood ones, they certainly stand the test of time. They're real hard though. The fences are saying they're actually fixing this little stretch up, and there's one up there, and they couldn't get the nails and you can't get staples, and they're pretty hard. So yeah, pretty cool to see though. That's the swamp I was talking about. They're not actually going to plant anything in it, and they've actually poisoned those trees. Those are some sort of willow trees. They're not native or anything, so they don't really want them, but they'll just die down over time. And it looks real good. But now I can sort of change these paddocks around too a little bit. One day when the payout's a little bit better, I want to run a fence probably from the strainer down there straight up to the top here, so that siding around there will be part of the next paddock, and we're going to rip that hedge out, because to get to a couple of paddocks down the bottom there, you've got to come through here. So what I'm going to do is rip that hedge out at some point, or all the hedge that's over there's quite a bit, and bring the paddocks down long ways down there. So they're going to be like hectare paddocks, but just make things so much easier. Or I could just show you on this map here. So that little fence I was talking about is here. Put one in there, and these green lines are the hedges. So rip all them out. And the problem I was talking about is to get cows down the bottom, you've got to go like this through the gate there and all the way over to here. So it's a little bit of annoying. You've got to go through paddocks that you've already grazed. So what I do is rip those hedges out like I was saying, and then just whack a fence up. So I've got one paddock here, two paddock, and then put a fence through there. That's a big maize paddock. That fence and that fence aren't actually, no, that fence isn't there, that one is. So, and divide these up too. I think I could get 3 paddocks along there. So then that central race will just go into each of them. And having like nice long narrow paddocks makes it easy. It's just easy to split paddocks up, divide them in half, and during calving time it's pretty easy too. Put a gate at the bottom of each one, and then yeah, that's the plan. Obviously you've got to have the money to do it, so it won't be happening this year as the payout looks pretty dire at the moment. But it would be nice, just make management so much easier. But, oh, it's so nice at the moment. The sun's out. It's been horribly wet over the last sort of week, and today's Thursday, and this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, looks absolutely terrible. Like, it looks like there's going to be torrential rain. We could get somewhere in the range of like 50 to 60 millimeters is predicted. So, yeah, not really good. I'm sort of dreading that, to be honest. Everything's just so wet at the moment as is. But once that comes next week, it's actually looking quite good. It's looking warm. It's supposed to be warming up and be fine, which would be perfect. As I haven't got much grass at the moment like everyone else, but I've got this fertilizer just sitting in the shed and I really need to get it on. But I'm a little bit hesitant because I don't want to put it on before this big rain event. If I do, it's probably just going to wash a lot of it off or through the ground. So I'm holding off. Plus, if we do get warmer nights next week, at least the growth rates will pick it up so I can try and get it on then. I opened the maize stack up about a week ago and you can see through there, like that's all beautiful. It's stored really well. Look at the top up there, lovely. But the rats did make a hole through the side there. They're pretty hard to keep out, to be honest, and I have baited like crazy, but there's a little bit of black stuff just around here, so I've sort of peeled it off the top and got most of it out of there. There's a little bit more. Once I get up there, I'll scrape more off. I don't think I've actually opened it up any earlier than I did this time last year, but I'm feeding about 3.5 kilos a cow at the moment, just of maize. My PK's also turned up a little bit earlier than I expected, which is awesome. It wasn't supposed to be getting here till tomorrow, but it looks quite white. Like usually it's sort of that reddy colour. The truck driver that actually dropped it off, he made a passing comment about it filling up the bin of his truck more than normal. So he seemed to think there was less oil in it, and that's why it was sort of that lighter colour. And for the weight, like it filled up a lot more than he thought it would. But there's another interesting thing, and that is that when we send our milk away, there is a grade for FEI, Fat Evaluation Index, I'm pretty sure it's called. I honestly don't know too much about it because we never really run the risk of getting penalised for having it too high. But if you did feed a lot of PK, it comes through into the milk, and in the past I think they had trouble drying it at the factory, so Fonterra put this grade in there to limit the use of PK, pretty much feeding it to cows. Well, Fonterra's actually just taken that grading away, and it is quite interesting. I don't know if people will be feeding too much PK out anyway with the price it is. We contracted this at the field days for $287 or $293. I'm not quite sure, it was one of them. And I think the spot price at the moment's over $400, so it is pretty expensive. Our milk price isn't looking too flash at the moment, so I don't think a lot of people will be buying PK, especially on spot price, but yeah, interesting all the same. I'm not sure why Fonterra's done it, but I guess everyone's finding it a little bit hard, so maybe they've just taken it off because of that. I don't know. To be fair, maybe the reason wasn't the email, I just couldn't be bothered reading it. I'm also giving them 4 kilos of PK in with that maize, so it is quite a bit. It's about 7.5 total on the pad here. They need 18 kilos at dry matter a day, so it's almost half their daily intake, not quite. But I'm just hoping to build up cover in front of them, really, and that's why they're getting a bit. They won't eat all this now. They'll leave quite a bit behind, and then when they come back in the morning, they'll just shoot in here and clean up whatever's left. Come on, you. Come on. good. Come on, you. Far out, what an evening. Hopefully we get a few more of these once August comes to an end. August is always really such a wet and sort of horrible month. It's always one to look forward to getting out of the way in the calendar year. Girls are all locked in. They've left a bit of feed down there, like I was saying. I actually locked them in the cowshed yard this morning. What I have been doing is shutting the gate on the feed pad and waiting till they all get down there, then sort of let them off. But this morning I just had them in the cowshed and opened the gates down at the feed pad, so if they wanted to go to the paddock they can go there, but most of them stopped in and finished whatever was on the pad. I actually caught up with one of our neighbours. He's not a direct neighbour, he's actually on the other side of Darcy, but I caught up with him the other day at the discussion group, and he got a little bit of planting and fencing done in the same project that we have, out of the same catchment. He said come and have a look at his planting's all done, so it would be quite cool to go around there and show you guys just another project in the sort of big skill, little scheme of things I guess you could call it. But I am pretty much knocking off, guys. It is getting on. I am off home. It's actually been Taylor's first birthday today, so Holly's whipped up a masterpiece of a cake. Kids have been home sick though, unfortunately, but it is winter, so you do get that. But give this video a thumbs up, that'd be awesome. And apart from that, see you next time. How about that? And oh, it's a good one birthday cake. It's pretty long, isn't it? Looks like a flag.
Who wants to cut it?
A flag on a golf green.